All right, what is going on, everyone, and welcome to a special Elder Scrolls Online video. So recently I finished up the Gold Road chapter, and I've been playing this game for over 10 years. You guys can watch my journey from 2014 all the way till now. And I wanted to give you guys 10 tips that I wish I knew as a beginner, and or if you're just checking out the game, looking to just find out new stuff that you may or may not have already known, this might be for you. So yeah, Elder Scrolls has always been a big thing on my channel since it came out. And yeah, I just kind of play this pretty regularly. There's a lot of stuff that I do. You can watch the entire story, every single chapter that released, and we have some other cool dungeons and endgame stuff as well for all of you who are into that. So I made a list of 10 things that I think are probably super helpful in no particular order. I think these are all just, you know, some things that are important. I could probably think of like 100 things, but I just thought 10 for beginners that are easy to understand is first and foremost, when you start the game, you're going to be messing with your settings, the UI and everything. And when you're starting out this game, a lot of the stuff is off by default. So you're going to want to mess with a lot of these settings. And the first thing would be to go down into your gameplay setting and change the colors. So for all of you who play traditional MMOs, we all know green means good, red means bad. And I understand that, like, there's a lot of overlapping colors, and I know some other games, I wish they would have this as well. So you know how in some other games, traditionally red is bad, but some bosses, they also like match the boss arena and the bosses with the red. So I think it's a good thing to be able to change all of the colors for like friendly effects and enemy effects. I just think choosing bright colors is usually better to help you see things during chaotic fights and everything. So bright pink is a good one. White is a good one. Yellow sometimes. And just overall, like, the default red is also fine too. But if you want to see things even more when chaotic stuff happens, yeah, you can mess around. That's a good thing. The next thing we have is probably a double tap to dodge. So before, like, you really have to mess with the sensitivity. I think it's okay-ish by default. But if you plan on playing this game in a serious level, like doing the end game dungeons, trials, and everything, generally dodging and, you know, not dying is pretty good. So messing with these and changing the colors is always good. And on the more everyday use thing, I think turning on your auto loot would be good, because when you're running through things, you could stop and pick up every single thing individually, or you could just auto loot, and then we'll talk about how you clean out your inventory and all that stuff later. So make sure to just turn on all the items or the settings that you think would be nice, followed by, you know, the camera. And if you want to be a video game content creator, mostly in the MMO side, usually you want to turn screen shake off just because it gives other people like motion sickness and everything. So this goes for like all the games I play. I understand it's immersion. If you're playing alone, cool. But if you're doing like videos and stuff, you probably want to turn that down. And then field of view, you always want to turn this one probably as high as you can, because in most MMOs, you generally play in third person. And I understand if you play Elder Scrolls games, first person is also okay. Well, on the MMO side, third person is the way to go for the most part. So you want to be able to see as much as you can. And so you want to like zoom this in and out. So field of view for your third person as well. So yeah, like when this is the default, and then the higher you go, the more you zoom out and see everything. So that's always good. Under that, we have nameplates. This is especially good for anyone that likes playing supports like healers and tanks. Being able to see your friendly health bar for everything, and the enemy health bar is super important. So I would just probably turn these on and adjust it to what you would think you want to see and what you don't want to see. Because this is a MMO, chances are you're going to be playing with other people. Turn all these on or off as you want, but, you know, generally you're probably going to be talking to someone. And then to combat, the one super helpful thing is to showing your ultimate number. Everyone knows what an ult is: big damage, big heals, resource bars. The more you see in MMOs is always better. So the next thing we have under gameplay, I forgot to mention, was turning on quick cast abilities. The reason why we have this is because if you have it off, you have to like double tap and confirm you want to use an ability. But when you're doing like endgame stuff or just, you know, overworld stuff, you just press it once instead of twice. And so it's like you turning off that confirm button. So this is mostly for combat, and I think it's very good to have. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was repairing your gear. There are a lot of different ways to do it, but I wanted to talk about it in like the cheapest way. So first of all, if you go to a merchant, you would be able to just talk to them. And at the bottom, if you have some gear that's like broken or something, at the bottom would be like, here, do you want to repair all your gear for X amount of gold? You can do that. Or you can use repair kits. And when you're a beginner, you're probably going to see them from a vendor and being like, oh, this sells it for X amount of gold. Usually that's overpaying for it. So you get all these repair kits just by playing the game, fighting enemies and stuff. And the cheaper way to do it would be to go to a guild trader and generally buy it from other players for significantly cheaper than going to the vendor, or just finding it around the world. You get them everywhere. They're very common. And what I wouldn't do is buy them from the Crown Store, because the paid shop has a lot of consumables, but they're not really worth buying. So it's better to try to get everything without spending money and doing it. So in the future, I'll make a video on the best things I would recommend buying from the Crown Store that isn't like super unnecessary, like the things that are just overall usage and permanent versus temporary. So yeah, that's about it. The next thing I wanted to talk about was dodge rolling and iframes. So if you don't know what an iframe is, it means invincibility frame. And in other games, they have other terms like evasion, damage reduction, iframes. The way this game has it is like full-on evasion iframe and like damage reduction, as in like you're holding block. If you get hit, let's say, to make numbers really simple, you're about to take 100 damage. You block, you take less than 100 damage. And then if an ability is coming at you and then you dodge roll, then that means you completely avoid it. Some games work differently, but the way you would know is if you dodge roll, you see this little green thing under your feet, right? And it is like the dot. Let me just show you again. It's like really fast. So immobilize immunity. And basically you dodge an incoming attack. So yeah, in this game, the damage reduction works in two ways: of blocking damage and taking less, like, you know, standard tank abilities, and then dodge rolling to completely iframe, which is super helpful. There's no one right or wrong answer. It's just, this is a good option. Because I know a lot of people, when I play the game and see them around the world, they're just blocking everything. It's not wrong, but there's more than one way to like avoid damage. So the next thing I want to talk about would be gear traits, stats and traits for everything. So what you would do, so if you look at this piece of gear, for example, there's a Magicka, maximum Magicka enchantment. The top ability is an enchantment, which means that is changeable by a glyph, and that is by crafting. So I would show you like right here, if you go to an enchanting table, you can put glyphs together. It's like, I think this is a cool system that I came out with. Like, you would put a combination of a 3 and then it'll give you a certain effect. That's enchanting in a nutshell. And then the bottom thing would be like where you see divines. That is called a trait. And each skill or each piece of gear has a different skill trait. So like, for example, precise versus infused and arcane and everything. So depending on what you do in this game, if you are more on the PvE side, there are certain traits like divines, infused, kind of just depends. But the one important thing I wanted to talk about was for PvPers. Now, let me see if I can find it. If not, I'll just make one. So, impenetrable. This is something that it's not really said often, but impenetrable increases crit resistance. However, what it doesn't tell you is that in PvE, monsters don't crit. In PvP, players crit. So using impenetrable in PvE content would be actually useless and a waste of a stat for the most part. But it is useful when you're in like Citadel or Battlegrounds, just PvPing against other players. So yeah, we all have crit stats and everything as a player, but the enemies in this game do not. And so that's one thing that is not super obvious as a new player, and you're probably like, oh, crit resistance, that's good. You know, playing any other game, that's just common logic. But yeah, just so you know, impenetrable crit resistance is PvP exclusive for the most part. The next thing I want to talk about may seem like a really obvious thing, but I've actually seen people, I've done this myself, like accidentally before, but locking your gear. I've seen people deconstruct and lose their items because they didn't lock it. So what you would do, oh, by the way, if you see this, this is an add-on, and you can just, like, if you don't have the add-on, that's fine. I think there's a way to just, this is what it looks like by default. You know, your classic Skyrim inventory, but I have an add-on that makes it so I can see the picture. So what you would do is right-click an item. You can lock and unlock the piece of gear, and it's super helpful to just lock all the pieces of gear you have, just so you never have to worry about it again. And if it's locked, it'll give you a confirm button. I don't know if that's an add-on. I think that is, but like if you want to change a trait or an enchantment, it would be like, here, hit, do you want to do that? Hit confirm if it's locked. So it's super important just so you don't make mistakes and just light your item on fire. So lock your gear, super important. The next thing I want to talk about is leveling skills. Now, this one may be kind of like, you don't think there's a problem, but as you guys know, leveling a skill goes from the skill level 1 to 4. And then after it goes to 4, you can morph the skill. So like you see this icon right here. That means it's level 4 at like the base skill. And then once it's maxed out, you get to choose between two options. Usually one is stamina, one is magicka, depending on what you're playing. Some of them just do different effects based on like whatever. So once you get this, you get to choose two options. And one thing they don't tell you in this game is, well, it's not like they don't tell you, it's just like it's not obvious. The higher up on the active abilities, no matter what your skill line or what you're trying to level, the ones on the top are usually easier and faster to level, whereas the ones on the bottom you unlock later, and they take more time to unlock, so, and level up. So what we wanted to talk about was leveling up these skills quicker and how you can do that. So one, leveling up skills, you just play the game and you just get XP and you do that. So another option I wanted to show you was you can go to, I don't know, let's just go to anywhere. Let's go to Somerset, right? And what you could do is read bookshelves, and they, believe it or not, they give XP. And especially if you're like leveling up a new character, or this is your first character, reading bookshelves not only gives you like lore and like information, but if you are on a new character, just by reading them, it does give you XP for various things. I think it is based on like the book you're leveling, not necessarily. It could be random, but like reading bookshelves in general, even if you don't read it, you just click on it, it'll give you XP that's not obviously shown, and that's how you can level up your skills and everything super quickly. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is your passives. While we're still on the skill line of, or the topic of skills and everything. So this isn't something that is super obvious, but it's also because you're limited on skill points. When you get 3 sky shards, you get 1 skill point. You could get the sky shards just by going around the world, exploring, playing the game. Very easy. So a lot of things they don't super tell you is, like, these are passives, and they just give you basically free stats. And it's important to know these because, for example, in the long run, if you're doing cooking, you're going to have and adds like 20 minutes to all your eaten food, which like 20 minutes is like an extra 20 minutes. And then when you do it for alchemy, when you're popping potions on cooldown, it just saves you time and money overall. So for example, if you are using potions on cooldown, whether you're PvPing, PvEing, each potion usually lasts for like 47-ish seconds at max. And then when you have the bonus passive, it lasts for like 1 minute, which means you can use them on cooldown versus like having some extra time, like downtime when they're not up. So it's helpful because it allows you to improve your DPS and or just be able to use things on a regular rotation, and it makes things flow more naturally. So make sure to actually look into all your craft passives and everything. The most important ones would be alchemy, and for the extra potion time, and cooking, because you want the extra 20 minutes on foods and drinks. All of these for actual crafting. The nice ones to have are the hirelings, just because they give you materials every like once a day, and it's not a lot, but it adds up if you've been playing the game for like 10 years like I have. So like, yeah, it's always good. But also when you're actually playing the game, there are passive abilities for all of your skills, and it just increases your damage, utility, timers, and everything. So you may think that just getting the skills is the important part, but you also do want to max out all your passives for whatever line you're doing as well. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was doing random dungeons. Now, this is an MMO. That means you're probably going to be playing with other people, whether they, you know, are your friends or your guildies or just randoms. So what you would do is go to the dungeon finder, and they have a tab where you can do like a random normal, veteran, or you could queue for a specific dungeon if you want to do that for some reason, like it's a pledge or, you know, you're just there to farm an item. And doing this actually gives you a reward. It gives you transmute crystals, some random items, but the reason why you're doing it is mostly for all the XP. And the XP allows you to get all your skills faster, level them up, and, you know, upgrade them as we talked about earlier. So you do this like once a day, and it'll turn from purple to blue if the first one of the day is purple, and then a blue one for the other ones after. You could get a purple one once per character per day, and it's super helpful. And then if you're trying to do some of the harder things like the trials and stuff, or like PvP, there's a group finder where you can just, you know, look for whatever you want to do. And then, you know, very standard MMO stuff, just look for whatever you're looking for. So one of the last things I want to talk about is joining a guild in this game. So what's different about ESO guilds versus other guilds is you can join up to 5 guilds. And usually in other MMOs, it's like one guild, you find a community that you like and you're there. But this one, you can be part of 5 of them. So it's not like you're stuck in one of them. So like, let's say you want a PvP guild, you want a guild for PvE stuff. Maybe you're a role player, or, you know, you just like to play with your friends. You can do all of those, actually. So that's one of the unique things that I really like about ESO, is the amount of like connections and people you can play with. So yeah, whatever you're doing, this is probably a guild for you. It's a guild finder system. Go apply for it. And yeah, it's super awesome. So overall, that is probably 10 tips I wanted to share with you guys. The important thing as a beginner would probably to be messing with your UI. Make sure it's something that you enjoy looking at, because MMOs are generally games where you spend a lot of time in. So you want to make things look as nice as possible, and something that like doesn't annoy you. Followed by like gear tips that aren't obvious, different sorts of defensives like blocking and iframes, and how to level up skills and get XP every day. Just general things to do, and being social in the guild is always nice. With that said, I want to say thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. I've been playing the Elder Scrolls Online for 10 years, since 2014. Yeah, I just like to share all my knowledge, especially now that Gold Road came out. The latest chapter, expansion, DLC, whatever you want to call it. I know a lot of people are trying out this game for the first time, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to point you guys in the right direction, and just let me know. I usually juggle a few different MMOs on the channel: Elder Scrolls Online, Black Desert, sometimes Final Fantasy, and yeah, I don't know, these are games I've played for a long time, so happy to share everything with you. And with that said, I do have a Discord if you have any questions or you want to watch some of my other series that I've done for various things, and just watch me do beginner stuff all the way to end game. And with that said, I'm out for today. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.